This morning on Juice and Java, we talk about all the latest on the Mueller report and the newest information on Brexit.
Plus, we have orange seeds sprouting in studio to talk about their big event and Azallion to preview I-81 week. You don't want to miss it. Juice and Java starts right now. Good morning, and thanks for starting your morning with us. I'm Landon Wexler.
And I'm Lilia Wood. Let's kick things off with your morning brew. All your top headlines from this week.
Being inside all winter, it's nice to just get out and not have to be stuck inside, but probably throwing a baseball around, that's probably my favorite thing to do.
It seemed as though spring was officially hitting Syracuse this week, with temperatures consistently in the 50s. Unfortunately, the all-too-familiar snow is expected to be back tomorrow.
Campus changes are on the way. Interim Chief Diversity Officer Keith Alford emailed students about new changes, including 2 additional vans for the Shuttle 44 system and community building activities such as interfaith dialogues.
Make sure that the Justice Department takes a very hard look at what went on with that case and also what has occurred today.
Jussie Smollett is still in hot water even after all the charges against him were dropped. Chicago Police Department has asked the federal government to look into the case.
And Facebook is facing charges of discrimination by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. They accuse Facebook of bias based on race, national origin, religion, and more.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is back in Israel after cutting his meeting short with President Trump. Egypt brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas on Monday, requiring the Prime Minister to return to Israel.
Mr. Speaker, the House has been clear. This deal now has to change. There has to be an alternative found. And if the Prime Minister can't accept that, then she must go, not at an indeterminate date in the future, but now, so that we can decide the future of this country through a general election.
And Brexit is once again facing a quickly approaching deadline with no solution in sight. Protests over Brexit broke out earlier in the week. Theresa May offered to resign if a deal could be made, but Parliament turned the deal down. The future of Brexit is still uncertain.
This has been your Morning Brew.
And now let's delve deeper into this week's stories with The Squeeze. More bad news for Theresa May's Brexit plans. Her deal for the UK to leave the European Union did not pass a vote for the 3rd time this week. May had tried everything to convince members of Parliament to vote on the deal, including saying she would step down as Prime Minister if it went through. However, her problems didn't end there. On Monday, Parliament voted to take control of the agenda, allowing them to hold votes on Brexit alternatives. On Wednesday, members of Parliament voted on 8 different ballot measures, all of which failed to pass. The measures that came closest to passing were suggesting a second referendum, and the other was to establish a customs union with the EU, allowing free trade to continue. They did not vote to extend the deadline to April 12th. They did vote to extend the deadline to April 12th, but with the 3rd vote on May's deal failing, the UK is once again a no-deal exit in less than 2 weeks.
Okay, so I think that was very confusing, but the one thing that I definitely take away from that is which is worse? They want to either get rid of her, she said she'll go, or her deal.
Well, shoot, imagine being in a political stance where you have to say, all right, take my deal and then I'll leave. Or don't take my deal
and I'm staying.
And I'm staying right here, right now. It's going to be interesting to see where the British Parliament and where the UK stands in a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And back here in the United States, the public will only have to wait a few more weeks to see the actual Mueller report. Attorney General William Barr released a 4-page summary of the several hundred-page report last weekend, but says he will release a redacted version of the full report by mid-April. The findings made waves in Congress and around the country all week. The summary says the investigation did not prove the Trump campaign colluded with the Russian government, and the Mueller investigation did not reach a conclusion on whether Trump has obstructed justice, but President Trump said the report completely exonerates him, while Democrats immediately called for the entire report to be released.
We got to think about it this way, Lil. Now that there's only 4 pages released out of the 300-page report, and there's not much information really gotten out of that besides no one's going to be indicted from here on. Yeah,
and I think it's super interesting that everyone's saying, like, okay, but what's next? Because everyone thought that this would be the end, like, oh, the report is here, but it's not actually here. And I know a lot of parts are illegal to completely give out. So I wonder which parts they're going to give and like what they, I don't know, not hiding, but like what they want to keep back.
Right. And this entire time, people have been thinking that President Trump, he may be impeached, he may not be, but it doesn't seem to be that hard of an end. It doesn't seem like anything's really been established at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure. So congressional Republicans are grappling for answers. President Trump announced earlier this week that he intends to get rid of Affordable Care Act, but he did not say anything about a replacement. This comes after a series of failures by the Republican Party to pass a health care bill. Many Republicans still in support of a version of Senator Lindsey Graham's plan from 2017. His plan would give states a lump sum of money, which would provide a substantial amount of freedom in deciding health care policy. Several prominent GOP senators seem hesitant to dive into a debate about health care.
So this is a whole story about like looking ahead of what's going to happen, because he hasn't released anything of like what his plan's going to be, if there is going to be a plan, but obviously they need a replacement. They do.
And so much of what President Trump has been talking about with healthcare is that he was going to repeal and replace. He says he wants to repeal it, but without a replacement, where do we go from here?
And Obama was his big thing was Obamacare, but Trump waited until like 2 years into his term to bring this whole idea up. So I think it's going to be interesting to see like what his platform is and like what he wants to replace it with for everybody.
Right, and so much of the American public needs healthcare. So much of it depends. It's very important for everyone in the country.
Yeah, it affects the whole population.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. So,
18 years of age and is unvaccinated against the measles will be barred from public places until the declaration expires in 30 days or until they receive at least their first shot of MMR.
That was from Tuesday when Rockland County declared a state of emergency that banned anyone under 18 who was not vaccinated from public places. This came after there have been over 150 confirmed measles cases in the county alone. This declaration prevents unvaccinated kids from public places such as churches, schools, and shopping centers until they're either vaccinated or until the declaration expires in 30 days. County Executive Ed Day says nearly 500 more MMR shots have been given since the declaration. Earlier this month, parents of 40 unvaccinated children sued the Rockland County Health Department, asking a judge to allow the students to go back to school. A U.S. district judge denied the request, citing it was not in the public's interest to risk the spread of measles into the school population. Measles is a highly contagious virus that can cause pneumonia, brain damage, hearing loss, and even death.
Those are some serious circumstances, Lil. And now you are from northern New Jersey, where this whole situation's going down.
Yes, this hits very close to home. And you know, Rockland County is known for having a very high population of people who have measles. So whether this was the right decision or not, something had to be done.
It did, for sure. Now, since it does impact so many people, like going to school, that's an important part of the day for kids,
and
right?
It's for churches as well, which is really interesting because a lot of the people who are highly religious are people who don't want the vaccine. So now it's holding them back from their religious services. But it's only for 30 days.
Only 30 days. And he says that it's only in a couple of days since Tuesday that it's already made an impact.
Yeah,
so
it's working, which is awesome.
Congrats, Ed Day. Way to make a difference. Special Olympics will keep its funding according to President Trump. Earlier in the week, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos threatened to take away federal funding for adults and children with disabilities. This would directly affect funding for the Special Olympics and other programs. DeVos's statements caused extreme backlash from the public and Democrats alike. On Thursday, President Trump stated that the Special Olympics would still be funded despite DeVos's comments. DeVos agreed with President Trump, saying that she did in fact plan to change his stance on funding the program.
I think this was a lot blown out of proportion, because when they asked, obviously Trump backed up saying, no, we would never do that to the Special Olympics, as well as the people who would be making decisions on the budget. They were like, no, we would never let that pass.
No, but with education, there are only so many things with budget cuts, pulling funding from different places. Special Olympics seems like a tough
and I mean, everyone loves the Special Olympics. I know there's 5 million athletes that participate in it, which is awesome.
Yes, and just in the local Syracuse area, there are over 3,300 Special Olympians just in this area. So
that's amazing. Yeah, I know a lot of students help out with getting it ready for the 2020 Olympics.
Right. So this is very important. I think it's very good that President Trump decided to keep funding going for it.
Yeah. And back here in Syracuse, the inaugural season of the Syracuse Mets begins April 4th. And the AAA affiliate of the Major League New York Mets is working to get the fans excited. One way they have already done so is by bringing the New York Mets to the Carrier Dome for a workout last Tuesday. Despite some members of the team were not into the trip, however, everyone was excited to participate, and Mets fans recall from all over central New York came to the Dome to see the team. The Mets opening day was last Thursday against the Pawtucket Red Sox, where they won 2-0.
So Noah Syndergaard, he's been talking about he didn't want to go from a warm, beautiful place up to Syracuse, and that caused massive backlash.
I think it was just the traveling aspect of it. And I think he said he was like, winning teams don't do that, but a lot of people on Twitter were like, the Mets don't know what a winning team does anyways.
The Mets aren't a winning team. It's tough. It's definitely tough. But I think it's very exciting that they did come to the Dome. They did. The New York Mets
and they had a good time.
They did have a good time.
They hugged Otto, which means they actually did like Syracuse.
Right.
I think it's awesome to have a New York team up here, and I think that brings a lot like to the New York Mets and up here in Syracuse, connect it all.
And the former Syracuse Chiefs now being the Syracuse Mets, I think there's going to be a bigger fan base. People are going to watch New York Mets more, and I think it'll be an exciting
They
time.
need it.
Absolutely. Now, coming up after the break, we have 2 members of Orange Seeds in studio to tell us all about their big event.
Stay with us.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires. They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. We are now with CJ Savola and Bennett Cooper, who are members of Syracuse Orange Seeds. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Of course,
thanks for having us.
So people who don't know what Orange Seeds is, can you explain it a little bit?
So Orange Seeds is basically a first-year empowerment program for transfer students and freshmen. What we do is we go out and do community service. One of the things we've been doing all year is Service Saturdays, where we'll all head out to a different organization every week and just try and help them and basically spread positive vibes. We really like to get involved, and it means a lot for us just to be able to give freshmen a platform to sort of spread their wings.
Absolutely. Freshman year, everyone needs some positive vibes, you know? So you guys are going on with your big event coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So the big event is the largest student-run day of community service here on campus, and it's run, completely put on, and planned out by the 25 Orange Seeds. And so in the big event, we get up a whole bunch of students together, organize them, we send them out to a whole bunch of different organizations that we've partnered with, and do some community service. Like Bennett said, spread some positive vibes, and
no doubt.
Yeah, it's really good to get back to the community. So
yeah,
absolutely.
But when is this day?
So the day of the big event actually is the 13th of April this year. Sign-in begins at 9 a.m. at Hendricks Chapel, and we should be finishing up around 2.
Okay.
I mean, that's a lot to compact into that day. Oh my goodness.
Oh, you better believe it.
Should be a lot of fun, yeah.
Absolutely, and since people want to get involved in the fun, and how dare I say positive vibes again, how can students get involved?
So they can get involved by registering. Registration is actually live. It's at, the link is in our, the bio of our Instagram, which is OrangeSeeds44, but sign up, get registered. Registration closes the Tuesday before the 13th, so get registered by then, and we're always happy to have you. So.
And remember, you can also register through different organizations on campus. You're allowed to register with, say, your fraternity, your sorority, your club, whatever you want. You can come out and do community service with the people you know, and that's something that definitely means a lot to us and the community.
But it's also a good time to meet other people through service and get to know other people on campus, which is nice.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for
having us. Thank you.
All right, and coming up on Juice and Java, senior correspondent Gabrielle Caracciolo tells all about the annual Maple Weekend.
We'll be right back.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where the cats go on vacation? New York.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. The New York State's annual Maple Weekend comes to a close tomorrow.
And Juice and Java's morning correspondent Gabrielle Caracciolo found out how a local college student saved one participating Syracuse maple syrup farm.
When most kids want to earn a little pocket money, they sell lemonade. But not Mike Spicer. He's always been in the business of selling maple syrup.
I guess I was any other kid that liked sugar, and I was just drinking it right out of the bottle. My mom's like, "What are you doing?" And then she said, "You know, we got some maple trees. We can tap them." And then I was making syrup, and then maybe some family friends would buy it off me.
Fast forward to last December, when he heard that the Cedarvale Maple Syrup Company's owner was retiring and wouldn't be producing any more syrup. Mike knew he had to do something, despite only being a sophomore at Hamilton College.
So I gave him a call and just worked out a deal, and next thing I know, I'm full go into this place.
The company, founded over 2 decades before he was born, has a rich history and loyal customers.
I have people that have come in and they're like, "Oh, so you're the one that's taken over. We've been here for 40 years. It's really cool. I mean, there's things around here. I'll touch something, and half the time it's older than I am."
This is from before the Civil War, too.
But coming from a younger generation has its benefits. Spicer says he makes the company stand out by bringing new ideas to the table, like creating a Snapchat filter.
None of this would be possible without friends and family. They helped Mike tap 1,200 trees here in these woods.
I wake up every morning and I'm like, how did I get people to do this?
And despite the challenge of balancing college and the company, Mike says he wouldn't want it any other way.
I'll have a long week of essays and tests, and then I'll get to come home and walk in the woods where it's peaceful and kind of regroup and get ready for the next week.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. Such incredible stuff. Coming up, news correspondent Anna Azallion is here to give us a preview on the I-81 coverage, premiering on Citrus TV News' live at 6 every day this week.
Keep it here.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. The future of I-81 has been a hot button topic here in Syracuse for years, but it seems that the decision time is coming.
There have been multiple town halls and forums in the last few months to discuss the options. Citrus TV's Anna Azallion is here in studio to tell us about how Citrus TV News is helping viewers stay informed on the issue. How's it going, Anna?
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Okay, so this is a 7-part series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
these are the crossroads splitting the city and the region. The community grid.
To save my city and my neighborhood and my kids' wants.
Replacing the viaduct.
Commercial businesses which want to be located alongside a highway.
And building a tunnel.
We really need to rebuild the fabric of the city.
Businesses, residents, and money. The issue gets more complex as time runs out. But Citrus TV News has you covered. Our 7-part series will break down the most important aspects of the decision. Starting Monday, April 1st, we will be tackling the biggest decision facing Central New York.
That was awesome, Anna. Okay, so Howard mentioned that there's a 7-part series, right? So what can we expect each day?
Yeah, so like the promo kind of mentioned, this is happening Monday through Friday on News Live at 6. We're going to go through really each part of what makes the I-81 issue so complex. We're starting with the history and kind of an overview of I-81, kind of how we got to this point. Then we're going to go into the different options that leaders are looking at as a solution for I-81. There's a community grid plan. There's a rebuild plan, rebuilding the viaduct that's currently there. There's also a hybrid option, which is kind of a combination of having a tunnel with a community grid on top. Then we're going to go into talking to businesses, kind of what their needs are, what they want, how this affects them. Also looking at suburbs, how this affects them versus how it affects the city and what each, kind of population wants. And then lastly, we're gonna go into kind of moving forward next steps, financial aspects, things like that.
So I-81 is very, very prominent, very big issue in Syracuse, no doubt about that. Now, who are we going to be hearing from in this?
So we're going to hear from a lot of different key players in this issue. We're talking to business owners, community leaders. I even talked to the Town of Clay supervisor, who kind of represented all of the suburb supervisors in that interview. We also talked to a representative from a trucking company, a developer, an architect, really a variety of people that this affects.
Yeah, Anna, that's awesome. And what's your specific story about, quickly?
Yeah, so my story is about the hybrid option, looking at the tunnel with the community grid on top, which is mainly what the suburbs are vying for.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Coming up, we'll be taking some time. We'll be talking about some of the craziest and best events going on around campus.
Stay tuned.
My bad, guys.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet. With the groove, show proof, keep it smooth as I bust the move. Where you step in swiftly, with me keep up. If not, just stop, pop a squat, put your feet up, read up, pay attention, listen to the melody. Remember what you heard, got my words to the spell of me. Top notch, got them all jumping like hopscotch, or jumping rope like double dutch in the air. Show me what you got, keep it hot like the heater. You thinking you a treat, cause you're sweet, but I'm sweeter. Leader of the pack, cause they all stay behind me. I'm old school, you don't skip tracks, you rewind me. Find me, working on my craft.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. As we near the end of the semester, you'll want to stay tuned for some big events and speakers coming to campus.
Absolutely. Now, next Saturday, Emmy award-winning comedian Tiffany Haddish and recording artist Pusha T and Flip De Niro will be performing at the Goldstein Auditorium for the event Cuse Can. It Starts With Us. This is sponsored by University Union, the National Panhellenic Council, and the Student Association. All the proceeds will benefit the Hendricks Chapel Food Pantry and Hillside Children's Center. The show starts with a stand-up routine by Haddish at 1:15 p.m., followed by 2 discussion panels titled What We Need to Be Talking About and Just Up the Block. Pusha T and Flip De Niro will then perform at 8:15 p.m. in Goldstein Auditorium. UU is offering the chance to meet Haddish after the show if you are one of the first 100 students to donate suitcases or backpacks to the local Elmcrest Children's Center.
Wow, that's exciting.
Very.
And then another big event to keep on your radar in Syracuse is the university's Relay for Life. We had a Relay for Life co-director Miriam Joyce and Nick Barbara in studio earlier this year, and they told us all about the organization's superhero theme and how the team event takes turns walking around the track for 12 hours because cancer patients don't stop when they're tired. So for one night, the students will not either. The Relay event is at Manley Fieldhouse on April 13th at 6 p.m.
A very important event, to say the least. And later that week, on Tuesday, April 16th, Martin Indyk is giving a lecture at Hendricks Chapel. Indyk is a distinguished fellow and director of executive education at the Council on Foreign Relations and previously served as the U.S. ambassador to Israel, along with being the U.S. special envoy for Israeli-Palestinian negotiations from July 2013 to June 2014. The event is sponsored by Maxwell School and WAER.
So which one are you looking forward to the most?
Now, I may have mentioned crazy. None of those are too crazy, but they're very, very important, I'd say. I think Relay for Life is going to be really important, and I think in a good time, to say the least, right? So CitrusTV we are also having a team, right?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be exciting because I've only been to the one at the Carrier Dome, and now it's at the Manley Fieldhouse. I've never even been there.
You've never been there? Okay.
No.
So when you walk into Manley, you think, okay, from the outside, you think, all right, it's kind of small. You go in, you look around. This thing's huge. Basically, you can get all the fun of Carrier Dome in Manley for sure.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We'll see you there, Lil. And that's all the time we have for you this morning. Make sure to follow us on CitrusTV on Twitter and CitrusTV News, and check out our website. I'm Landon Wexler.
And I'm Lilia Wood. Have a great weekend, Syracuse.